always remember,
This man I have creative design. We really like it, but
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
As a Night Assembly, the leadership has tried to create more robust engagement. However, I must be sincere with you, just like the previous assembly, the Nigerian executive, the mindset is still that, hey, who are you to question me? And the fact that the parliament is a bit deficient in integrity, because perception is reality. Nigerians, either rightly or wrongly, perceive the parliament negatively. So by implication, when you do not come with reasonable credit, integrity, it limits your ability to check.
Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Still with me is Honorable T.J. Yusuf, member of the 9th National Assembly in the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for sticking tight.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the preceding part of our interview, we talked about the failure of parliamentarians in building a system that works for all Nigerians. So you quite frankly impressed on the fact that it's literally an ecosystem. It's, starts from the foundation of the education all the way up to, the leaders that we find today in a position of power who are failing Nigerians. So how do we go about fixing this ecosystem? How do we start from the grassroots education level? Because as you said, our education system has failed, Nigerians, quite frankly. You did mention something that was very profound, that it's difficult to pinpoint one Nigerian that has gone through a 4-year education system, which is how it's meant to be. So how do we go about fixing that? And where do we need to focus on, especially the office of the citizens? Who do we need to hold accountable to fix that education system?
It is good to come from bottom, but leadership is very important. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't feel this assistant can give the kind of leadership I'm going to talk about. But I know one thing, that if we keep pushing to happen, once you have a leader who is genuinely committed to Nigerian project, not mouthing, not for election reason or what have you. And that was why in 2014 or 13, when President Jonathan was mooting the idea of a single term 6 years and what have you, I wanted it. I was excited that maybe for 30 years, let's have a single term. So you are not interested in recontesting election. So those funny politics and things that distract you, we need the right leadership. Then we now have the right policy. We are not in any way lacking good men that will come up with policies, because our educational policy as it is now cannot take us to El Dorado. We groom as young people to seek a job. It's the mentality that you just go through, then you hold your CV, running around for a job. There's nothing about the 633 policy that was introduced those years that will make you self-sufficient, self-employed. Then we don't teach values. We don't teach ethics. What do you see has become the example? What are the values from home? Parents giving their awards money to compromise lecturer. Parents looking for miracle centers to take their awards to the right exam. And you expect that child not to compromise the system? So we must take a pause. But why I say we need the leader? Rwanda, with what they went through, the leader. Not when I mean the leadership is not about one person. But when the person stands and they begin to aggregate such responsibility to like minds. And one thing about human beings is that when they know there are consequences for wrongdoing, everybody will sit tight. But present as it is, once you do wrong, you are aligned to the right group in control of power and you are exonerated. So when a thief does not even believe he's a thief again, because he's aware there are A, B, C, D who are thieves, who are not going through the same thing. So fundamentally, we must find the leadership recruitment process in place so that this policy, these ideas, hey, there are committees over committees in Nigeria. Fantastic ideas is implemented. ICPC, EFCC should be a model to Africa. But are we genuinely? No. So until we get to those things, And I fear there are two ways it can happen. We sit down, judge, and say, no, we must put it hot. And we draw principles, article for understanding how we operate, and we adhere by it, or war.
So from what you've said, leadership in the home front, leadership in all, stratas of, power, the MDAs, the presidency, et cetera, which is good and great. However, I keep on playing the scenario because in Nigeria, we talk a good game. It seems like we all know what to do, but nobody is doing it. So where does action need to begin from immediately? We have an election coming up in 2023, which is just right around the corner. Until we put systems and processes and strategies in place to ensure that we churn out the right leaders in 2023 election, we're going to be having this conversation again, leading up to the elections in 2027. So where does action need to start from? In the parliament?
The citizen, the parliament, and the executive. The citizen must be conscious and enlightened enough to know that the first casualty of bad governance is the people. So the idea of being unnecessarily sentimental must be dropped. The Parliament on the Electoral Act, because the process that will throw up the next set of leadership in 2003 is anchored on what we have in that law. In 2019 election, it became obvious there were certain inconsistencies in the result of the election and what was the reality. And INEC came out and said they had no server. I am aware that they had the server since 2011, prior to the election. But if they own up that they have a server, it means that there are documents that can be used in court. We must insist that before 2023 election, we must acknowledge the server, must agree it's going to be used, where in section 52 of the new proposed Electoral Act, rather than saying results will be transmitted in a manner they commission, so these are no. Results should be transmitted electronically, instanter, on real time, so that when all is done, we'll cross-check what you have here and what is on ground. Once everybody is conscious of the fact that there's no much room for manipulation, it takes away thuggery. You take away money to buy votes and what have you. It is because that you are conscious of the fact that you can manipulate the system. We must take that, but it might not produce the pure line we expect, but it's a gradual thing. We thin out these tendencies. And when people spend less to get in because the system is clean up, you will now not be under pressure to pay godfathers and what have you. So until we get into that, and that's why I keep telling anywhere I go to, President Buhari, we like it or not, God has made president of Nigeria. You are doing your second term. But what do you want to be remembered for? Your first tenure, Electoral Act was done 2 years to election. You deliberately delay asset, you gave reason until you now say it's close to election. We are almost 2 years to this regime, to this tenure now. Can we sign the Electoral Act? If you are not ready to wait for National Assembly, the one that was sent before, can you resign? Okay, no. There's a new one on ground. Can we all agree? Why is anybody running away from real-time results?
Exactly. So I want you to give us clarity on where exactly this bill to amend the Electoral Act is right now. Is it on the President's desk for his assent? Is it still at the National Assembly? Where exactly is it?
It's at the National Assembly.
Okay.
And the committee, I remember the committee, finished work was done in January.
January of 2021.
2021.
Okay.
We're believing by March it would have been passed. But this particular clause is the reason why it has not been passed. A lot of influence from every political administration who does not want that clause. At every time, anytime we sit back, it is that clause. And I keep to ask. Let me tell you something. For those who think that this is the only system that will make them be in power, if they vote you out genuinely, and you go back to the one, it makes you sit back to know what you're not doing right. When they try Mr. A and they find him incapable of delivering, they'll look for you. So why this idea of because I don't know why this should be an issue. However, it still boils down to all of us. A few days ago, it's announced that a lot of civil society groups are coming to protest about that. I say it's welcome. I will join the protest. Tell us to do this electoral act and do it now. Until we get that into place, we won't have any legitimate ground to engage INEC to do the right thing. If you allow them to determine, so anybody can sit somewhere and say, INEC, don't use electronic, use this. So we want to tie everybody. So we all agree that as vote is being counted in Kaba, a ward in Kaba, that's my town, it is transmitted in such a way that wherever you are, even 10 years' time, if they even shut down the whole system, you can still get this information because internet has a way of keeping such record. That is fundamental, very fundamental.
So how do we, the citizens, get you lost in the National Assembly now to ensure you pass this bill to the president?
What you are doing is part of it. Ask me this question. Everybody must insist we pass it and pass it on time. The peaceful protest that's been proposed is welcome to development, but more important, because I remember what happened in the Assembly. We passed, it was not assented to. The president must rise above petty partisanship and self-interest. He was rejected 3 times. So pleases God became president. I think that should be enough to make me a statesman and see beyond how to keep my structure until those things are genuinely put in perspective. 2023, sincerely, will be worse than 2019.
I was going to ask a different question, but I can't let you go without explaining what you mean by that. So 2023, you believe, would have a worse outcome for Nigerians than 2019?
If we do not fix the legal parameter.
Given the dire situation on the ground, the growing insecurity, today's banditry, tomorrow is unknown gunmen, next tomorrow is kidnap. We can't even tell the difference between all the different groups of insurgents in Nigeria. What really is the likelihood of us having a 2023 general election? I was reading a report in 2016 by the United States Defense Air Force or something. I might not have gotten the name correctly. And it was saying that they were projecting that Nigeria will be a failed state by 2023. And I remember sharing it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and I remember sharing it with a sitting governor. And he said, but Nigeria is already a failed state. Look at all the indices that they spelt out. Aren't we mirroring all those today? And I sit back in 2021 and I studied this report again, 300 and something page report, and every prediction of theirs is coming to pass. So we can sit here and discuss ways to reform our electoral system, leading up to a supposed election. But the reality that a country that is in war, a country where you cannot walk out of your house and be assured that you will reach your destination safely due to the fear of kidnappers and other insurgency groups, can we really hold an election, whether we're electronically transmitting our results or not?
I want to put it to you that there will be an election. And part of the game plan is for us to feel this way. It's a chanting and discourage. Give room for the manipulation. So you have a field day. They want an election in that situation. So I have to give legitimacy to whatever they are doing again. So we must not take eyes off the ball. And one of the major reasons why we have this is because citizens feel they cannot express themselves through a transparent election. So those some of this tendency you are seeing is a product of it. Finally, on this particular matter, how do we have this plethora of names? It's simply they are terrorists. But the government, rather than owning up that terrorists, began to redefine it. Who brought Haida farmers clashes? Presidency. It was terrorists attacking farmers. But because you don't want to, the so-called people who you think are involved, they say you want to kind of give a general name and traumatize every Fulani. No, nobody's saying that. Every Fulani man is not a terrorist. But this particular one, and I make bold to say, majority of them are not Nigerians, and I make bold to say that those good Fulani men who are not in sync with your ideology, some of them are coerced, are forced into this. But until we deliberately define the things, so rather than when you begin to put powder The others fed up. Hey, this one. Oh, we're not. Can you fix it? So, we're where we are because the president, I say not presidency, the president, might work my will, failed in his responsibility. I'm a father. I rule over a house. When my daughter, my child, does certain thing, she knows when my tone changes. She knows when I will say, hey, she knows when I say, hey. Without saying anything further, she understands when to adjust. The president failed with this responsibility. When he ought to say, hey, we can't take this here. Not under my watch. So when the thing fell out, before he came, people say there's insecurity. Yes, we have Boko Haram. Ma, what do we have? What do we have? You can't even name them all. And people are complaining of ECN in Southeast, Sunday Igbo. These are product of a failed system. If the citizens have confidence in the Nigerian police force and army to protect them, they will run to such tendency to protect them. And that's why, if government you engage told you that we are all this of a failed state, we are already a failed state. But we still have a window. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years. The next best time is now.
Is now.
Can we sit down now? Can the president say, hey, the next 2 years, this will not happen again? Can we stop releasing? We have even released all of them. Boko Haram that were arrested under Jonathan have been released. Can we stop pampering them? Can we stop looking up to church to help us fight our battle? Can we give account? When you say give account, they say you hate the president because you don't like him. You took $1 billion from Federation account unaccounted for before it was shared across tiers. You took from the source without the parliament approach. Also, let's bend backward. Since he said he wants to find insecurity with it. But where is the result today? Where's the $1 billion? How's it going to?
It seems to me, and I make bold to say this, that the office of the president is too powerful for one individual. How do we go about devolving power from the office of the president?
Thank you. For us to fix this, it has got to a level. Mere analysis, policy will not do. And for the characters involved, all of us to sit back and define. The Jonathan administration National Conference report of 2014. If I don't know what's wrong with us, Jonathan is off. If you take the report, nobody will ascribe to Jonathan. You are the president now. There are a lot of things that will take us out of the wrong. And if we do not seize this window, I have fear, genuine fear, because it's getting to a point that nobody is looking up to the police, military for defense.
Most definitely. But Honorable TJ, if I hear you correctly, the answer to the question I had just proposed to you was that in order to devolve power from the presidency, we need to go back to the Constitution. But you had...
The Constitution must be a reflection of our diversity. You are from Edo, I'm from Kogi. As close as Edo and Kogi, there are things that work in Edo that will not work in Kogi. Can you police Kaba? No. We should have a federal police, yes. But maybe police that is domesticated and understand the environment. Me looking at me from back, you can this is TJ. You don't bring somebody from Sokoto to come and police area. He can't effectively do that. So the federal can come because they are better experienced, better equipment and what have you, and provide more logistics to help the local in certain areas. So, but because there's this sense of I want to hold on to what I have, nobody's talking about devolution of power. So we must scale down the over-concentration of power at the center to get the president to understand that he's a servant of the people, not a lord. I'm not talking about Buhari, I'm talking about every president in this light. So that is my assumption. We are project. My mood doc, I think, said, well, if you do the same things all the time and expecting different results, it's madness. We have done this all this, and the result is not good. Can't we change?
I think I completely agree with you. But before I let you go, as a matter of fact, we do have to take a commercial break, but I have 2 questions for you just right after the commercial break, and I'll let you go. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Osasu Show.
make it calm down. Eat the farm say sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you no do pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back to the Osasu Show. I'm still with Honorable T.J. Yusuf, member of the House of Representatives in the 9th National Assembly. Honorable, before I let you go, it's been a very interesting and insightful conversation, and I must thank you for your honesty and transparency in line with the topic that we are discussing today. Former President Goodluck Jonathan stopped by TOS TV network, and he made a statement that, was on the airwaves for weeks when he called out the judiciary to focus on their mandate and leave politics alone. He said the judiciary has no power to determine the winner of elections. That, as a matter of fact, if they find out that there are any inconsistencies in elections, the elections should be null and void, and we're taking back to the polls for voting. What is your reaction to that, quickly?
I agree to some extent that judiciary has if lost its place, and so much so that people don't feel they can find redress in court. In fact, people who want to steal victory rush to court more. People who know that they don't deserve victory will go to court more. And why he said they should not be declared, because the victory is that, look at things that have happened. Things that you can, I don't want to mention states, but it does not make sense anyway, and you should declare them winner. However, I must not blame the judiciary alone. Politicians should be part of the blame. First of all, the pressure we mount on them, and the arrogance that we display. We have a window. That's what we're still talking now.
Most definitely.
I keep telling people, and I'll repeat it, there has never been a good war, nor a bad peace. No matter, there's never been a great war that hasn't ended on the round table. Mm-hmm. Can we still sit down now? We can salvage this ship. Ego must be dropped. Thank you.
Honorable T.J. Yusuf, this has been one of the most enlightening conversations I have had in a very long time. So I must thank you so much for taking out time out of your very busy schedule to engage with us at TOS TV Network.
Thank you very much for this privilege.
You're most welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. That's all we have for you on today's program. The conversation never ends on your television screens. Do follow us on social media at TOS TV Network, at The Osasu Show, and at Osasu Igbenedion on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Let us keep engaging, let us keep collaborating, and see ways we can pull ourselves out of this dire situation we are in today. Don't forget, you can watch news and read news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. You can text me with your ideas and solutions to the issues that we're facing at 0702-500-6342. That's 0702-500-6342. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Until then, keep washing your hands, keep practicing social distancing, keep wearing your face mask, because COVID-19 is still very much out there. All right, God bless you. Take very good care of yourself. Bye-bye.